Hello. Okay, so I'm not even sure what I'm going to be talking about. I kind of wanted to look at this, especially after I finished the book, which I am right there. I just have the court cards left, and there's like a spread. I didn't realize my book is signed, and then it actually came with this really cool bookmark, which is, let's see, the riddle of the Sphinx, like, to will, to know, to dare, and to keep silent, I guess. I kind of wanted to talk about this deck from the perspective of a person who doesn't know anything about the Thoth system. And I guess whether it be something for someone like that or someone who has no idea of the system. I did put these back in order. I shuffled these pretty much right after I got them because I just can't help it. So I don't think I've ever put a deck back in order. So one, I guess I don't know why I got that all right yet. And like I said, you get to pick what symbol you want for the box. And I wanted the Babylon star, which I know a little bit more about now. And I also would recommend the book. If you don't know anything about this system, the book's going to be helpful. Also, the way she's done her cards, because these are all very original, like the DJ in the house, which is the associated Hebrew letter. She's incorporated her own symbols and artwork in here, so the book is really going to be useful for that. I got the expansion pack. Oh, I got that there too. So, I mean, you know, the white book's a little bit basic. I would recommend the book. It's always nice to have the perspective of the author and the artist. There's some good stuff in here, and if you don't know this system, this is definitely going to be something you're going to want. And I also like, if I can find it, this random artist notes on the major arcana, which she only has this for the majors, and I really appreciate that. Maybe from someone who enjoys art. I just really enjoy knowing where some of this symbolism or artwork or decisions, where they came from, and she has a little snippet about that. So anyway, so the book, very highly recommended, and it's a good read. It's got a lot of information. So one thing I would recommend if you don't know this system at all, here's my sketchbook I painted. So I spilled coffee on, which is fine. The first thing I would do is draw out the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. It's going to be very useful, and I didn't do this right at first, and I wish I did, because like in the book so we're going to talk about the sun. It's got the lore title, planetary association, Hebrew letter, and then it talks about the path that it takes. So path 30 from Had to Splendor to 9, yet Yesod foundation, and I also probably, it's Splendor. Okay, so we've got I'm gonna redo this so it's okay, so there it is, and I have it numbered, so you can kind of see where on the Tree of Life everything is, and that's gonna really be helpful, because and also the Earth's and that, okay, so I'm in the process of organizing these, because you're gonna read like Atziluth and the Bria and the Yetzirah. So you're gonna be reading that a lot, and you're gonna be reading the Sephiroths of the Tree of Life a lot. So I was like, okay, so with the Yokma and the Atziluth, I mean, it's confusing. So to have a organized, bigger rendition, because she does have she's got a copy of it here and in the back, and then you get a little card, and I think this might have come with the expansion, but nonetheless, though, it's like the Yesod, you can't really see it, although this is a nice card. So that's going to be very useful because when she's talking about the association, so maybe if I go to like a minor, because it kind of talks about it. So like the Nine of Cups, the Lord of Happiness is the middle decan of Pisces in Yesod, the Sephira in a foundation in the middle pillar in the watery world of Bria. So if you don't know anything about the Tree of Life, which I did not, or the I'm gonna get tongue-tied. Kabbalistic Tree of Life. It's just it's gonna be very helpful to know that Yesod is in the Sephira. There's one Sephira, and then that the Bria is the world. Maybe it is world. So that is going to be very helpful to have this out and read that, because then that information right there of explaining the Sephira and the world is going to be more beneficial if you can actually visualize it, because I kind of went through a lot of these, especially the majors, and I'm going to have to go back. I mean, I've pretty much finished the book, but after going back and kind of reading some things, especially after having this visualization, that is going to be super helpful. So, and I kind of want to do like a bigger watercolor study guide, because yeah, it's really pretty. Oh, and then another thing, and she does talk about this in soft. Here, this is the nothing. Nothing has structure and stuff like that, and obviously I can't think of it on the top of my head. That's something to kind of put. That's why I want to make it bigger, to kind of mention those. I don't know if she mentions the death, or I guess it's like not important, but I did link the Fortune's Wheelhouse. Hopefully everything's in frame too. On my last one, and I will probably link it again, because her and Susie go into a lot of detail about some of the symbolism of not only the Rider-Waite but the Thoth deck. So that is something I highly recommend, and that will make this a little more beginner friendly, because you'll have your own little study guide. And I know it comes with that and it's in the book, but just to have one that's out, because having to flip back and forth, it does get a little tedious. So that's one thing I would recommend. So she, goes through the Fool's Journey at the beginning, which is pretty good. Yeah, so these pages, I'm sure you'd be familiar with that anyway. It's pretty similar in both systems. She also, another thing I would recommend is to have a kind of a separate study guide of these signs and symbols of the planets and the astrological. I wouldn't exactly say to go ahead and write the cards down, but go online and find some good associations or descriptions of these. Now, when she talks about each card, she does talk about the symbolism and associations with the astrology and the planetary part of the card, which is great. But I think it would just be a nice to have which I haven't done this yet, have a separate little study guide so you can refer back to the symbol and some common associations, and that's going to be helpful with the divinatory meanings of each card. I feel like, and that's just part of the whole Thoth system in general, is there's not exactly, it's a more of a system of kind of like a mathematical thing. So you have, especially in her deck, you know, you're going to have the planet and the astrological sign to kind of give you a formula of how to decipher it. And I think in the Thoth deck, it's recommended that when... I just put these away. I got the same exact one. That when you're doing that formula, that you do the sign in. So, see, is that Mercury or Mars? I've really crammed a bunch of stuff in my brain this last 2 weeks. I've gone down, so I have it bookmarked. Derp. Yeah, I've really crammed my brain full of a ton of stuff. So Venus, oh my goodness. Okay, so you got Pisces and Venus. So she says in the book, and I might be able to find it, that in this deck, not to see it as a sign in, but see them as two separate things. So let me see if I can't. So I don't want to give this too much of the book away, but many tarot texts, when referring to the planetary rulerships of the decans, will erroneously refer to them as planet in sign, which is not exactly correct. The Two of Wands is not Mars in Aries. Rather, it is the first decan of Aries ruled by Mars. So I know, like, a lot of books about the Thoth suggest to do a sign in type of thing. So she's saying not to do that. Which, you know, is fine because, you know, if you're just learning and you just have, you know, information on Venus and you have information on, it's not Cancer or Pisces. Oh, jeez. Off to, it's Cancer. Okay. You know, tomato, tomato, radish, whatever. So if you have some information about the two signs available, you could kind of formulate your own and add to it instead of wondering what the sign in would be. So that's what she has to say for the minors, at least, because obviously the majors have their element in their Hebrew letter. So, and then she also kind of talks about the cardinal fixed and mutable signs, and she does a really good job of explaining that. That kind of stuff's pretty important. So if there's anything that's more important, it's knowing the planetary and astrological associations as well as the Kabbalah. Those are going to be important. So would I recommend these for someone just beginning in the Thoth system? I would say if you make a study guide right away that you're going to be able to follow along a little bit better. Now, she has got so much, I mean so much stuff in here. And I don't know if there's times that I feel like I'm really smart and times I feel like I'm really stupid. And I kind of went on that roller coaster with this book because at first, you know, I read and I'm like, okay, I'm following along, I got it. And then she's got so much behind a lot of these cards, so much mythology and associations. She does refer back to the Book of Thoth quite a bit and some of Crowley's other writings. She does recommend in the beginning that you read those books. I probably will at some point. What I did do is I've already read this in the span of reading this, so that is why my brain is fried. I'm kind of going through some of the cards, and even in his book, Lon Milo Duquette recommends the whole sign in formula for that. So yeah, my brain is pretty fried. Did I need this other book? I don't think so. Although I will say that there's some things in there, and maybe it's just because I read it for a second time, so you could always just kind of re-look at the things you've read in this book, but reading certain things for a second time really helped. For one, getting to the court cards, so if you're a beginner, matter of fact, let me get my coffee stain sketchbook back out. And this is obviously if you're reading the book from front to end and you get to the court cards last. This is not going to come up until you get to the court cards. But she does mention that she does the Kabbalistic idea of father, mother, son, daughter. So that's why we do princess, prince, queen, and knight. And hopefully I put them back in order. Maybe it's the other way around. But it could be the other way around. Maybe they start with the knight. I think they start with the knight. So the knight are the kings. Queens are normal. Prince is the knight. And then princess, page. But there's a whole system of a whole loop, whole story with that is in the Book of Thoth. And she clarifies that also on page 182. And it's also kind of why I found was interesting why tarot decks are put in a certain way, like wands, cups, swords, and earth. Earth is cleared down in Malkuth. And the page or princess of disc or princess or the earth, this is literally the last card. So eventually she is supposed to get with the prince, and that's when they become queen and king, or knight and queen, and then the queen has the prince and princess. The prince gets to go to Tipperet, I think, or somewhere below the supernal triad or the abyss. But she's kind of not special. So she's thrown all the way to Malkuth. And the cycle starts all over. She has to, so the prince kind of signals our guardian angel, and the princess is us, and we're trying to find our guardian angel to ascend back together. So Keter. So yeah, that's something that it's there, and is really interesting. I know it's probably not important until you do get to the court cards, but I really found that interesting when I went through Milo's book. I would want to kind of know that a little bit sooner, especially since it's a new system. So I'll kind of throw that out there, and you can look more into that if you want to. And another thing I would recommend that I have over here is it was tetragrammaton. I'm probably saying that wrong because in the moment I say things really weird. So we got the Yod, Hey, Vau, Hey, or Yod, Hey, Va, Hey. And then together it's like that. And I think that's Yahweh. So from what I find, but whenever I see that, I just say Yod, Hey, Va, Hey. And that's the name of God, so to speak, which that's kind of something with the system, and I know it's kind of the same with Rider-Waite, is it's just a little just kind of getting in that biblical territory I don't really care for, although I do find it interesting. So that's kind of why I jumped into, getting that, learning about Crowling, so that with that system and where things are coming from. But yeah, getting into the whole biblical system is a little, not really something, I don't know, I'm kind of indifferent with at the moment, but I'm going to learn nonetheless, because I'm down that rabbit hole. So yeah, I would recommend putting those down, because like I said, if you just don't have any of this in your brain, like I didn't exactly. I mean, I kind of had some idea, but when she's talking about all these different things, it's very helpful to have this little study sheet right next to you. And I feel like you're gonna learn it better and absorb it better having it here. So, and I've already gone through the cards. Hopefully I don't need to take that back out yet. So I'll kind of go through them a little bit more. I'm not really going to go like I did with my one video. I don't think I'm going to go into detail about the symbolism. You know, at first I was like, those look like music notes. And then when you look closer, I'm like, I'm not sure. But yes, those are music notes. I really like that, I think. Oh, geez, now I have to reread. So I'll just kind of go through some of them again. But I mean, I think the basic meanings they're all Thoth based. But she does add some more of a twist to a lot of these cards, because I think like the Rosetta was a little more closely Thoth imagery, and these are her own style, which are great, and that's why I recommend the book, because she really did think of a lot of stuff. I know, but you can. I'll link my video down below. One thing that would make this great for a beginner is okay, well, I just saw it, and then for example, oh, well, like this card. So we've got the Nine of Cups, happiness. So we've got, this is a decan of like the Wheel of Fortune. So she offers up a, you know, symbolism that's similar, and then you can also match them by their planetary association, which is really helpful actually when you're trying to learn some of the associations. And I have found that to be really helpful. So, and just like this, you've got the, I think that's from, oh, not the moon card. Well, there's the, yeah, sorry, I'm not very fluent in this, because I've got, my brain's going faster than my mouth, and then they stop communicating. Okay, if I find a video, I will I will try to put it in. Every time I see this, it makes me think of this video of a bird kicking another bird. So if I find that, I'll try to put that in there. Science is really cool. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, and just, okay, so like the Knight, it's got its three, hopefully this is still in frame, 3 decans, and then the Seven of Swords is one of them. So she does a really good job of putting artwork in each card that's going to give you a hint of what its decan and correlating card is. And I really think that's awesome, especially when you can go and just match these symbols. And since these don't have symbols, she includes some of the artwork from the corresponding cards. And that is, for, like I said, like a beginner, that is very helpful. And, you know, I think a lot of those associations also tie into the Rider-Waite system. So that's a... I know I keep mentioning all these books, but that is another book I will probably do a review on, because that has been great for probably both systems. There's some things that I've got from that book that also tied into like the Thoth, and has some Crowley references in it. So I can't think of anything else to say. I would say, to sum everything up, if you're a beginner and don't know anything about the Thoth system or the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, if you don't know any of that stuff, I think this is a really good deck to get, especially because you always want to kind of go towards something that you're drawn to, and I really do like this art. I wish, Mel, if you make these borderless, I will buy it, because I know she's trying that out with her new deck, which I'm not sure if it's A majors only deck. It looks really cool. I actually have that's the Aeon, and these do come in 3 different layouts. So she's got borderless and a smaller border, and then this, and I think they actually do come in a pretty hefty size. So those are really neat. If that's a full deck, I really like that. I'm kind of unsure about the majors only for myself right now, but if these were borderless, that would be awesome. But yeah, especially with the symbols down here, you've got the keywords if you care for the keywords. If not, you can ignore them, I guess. And that's very helpful. Her book is very well written. I will say it is chock full of symbolism that she has put in, because she's kind of created her own layout, if you can see that. So a lot of things went over my head that have nothing to do with the system, but she's just obviously a very smart lady. And she's got a lot of stuff coming out that I'm pretty sure if I were to have to read about all the stuff she's put in, my book stash would be pretty high. So I mean, yeah, I will have to read this a second time. Not because I don't understand where I can get the meanings from it, but because she's put a bunch of mythology and his kind of like a, just a bunch of stuff. Like she's got different gods and goddesses and stories, and yeah, it's a very well written book full of information. I feel like 2 pages took me forever to read, even though I'm not a slow reader, I don't think. So yes, I would recommend this. If you like the art and you're kind of intimidated by the system, it will probably be a little bit of a study, but if you really dive in, maybe break it down, I think you will get it. Yeah, so I'm just rambling on. I kind of thought I was going to go through all the cards and the symbolism, but I don't think I'm going to do that, because there's only 24 hours in a day. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, so let me know if you have this deck or anything. I'll probably be on the lookout now for more Thoth-based systems, because I'm very interested, and once you go down that rabbit hole, well, So that's it. So take care, stay safe, and thank you for watching.